Who'd you talk to? What's going on? I'm awfully blue. It's me. It's Mike Lepre, King Michael. Legit Paranormal. Must be Sunday night. I'm looking for the little doohickey that changes the lighting because I'm awfully blue. It is 07102022. Not much for the math geeks. Joining me as always, Buddy Money there. What's up, buddy?
Good, Mike. Good evening. How you doing? I'm joining you from another beautiful evening here in the lovely mountains of Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Yeah, no wind still.
It's beautiful out there. You never know there was like Route 44 on the other side of these mountains and like people because
who would have thought?
I don't see. I just see an eagle every now and again flying above. He's the only one allowed in the no-fly zone. So it's really good. It's also really good because last week I was suffering. My pancreas was yelling at me, and I didn't have a beer of the week. I did have a beer of the week, but I couldn't drink the beer of the week, which is unfortunate. But what is fortunate is pancreas hasn't been bothering me in a few days, so I'm happy to have a beer of the week that I will be drinking this evening. This beer of the week comes to us from a state over, the next state over from our guest this evening. It comes to us from Rapid City Falls, South Dakota. It's called Juicy Bruce. It's a Simcoe single hopped IPA. It's brewed with passion fruit. It tastes like it's got a grapefruit taste in the back of it. Also, from the same area of the country, you can find it in any liquor store anywhere in the United States. Brewed right in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the state over to the east, Miller Lite. So I mean, either or, you can't really go wrong, Mike.
Joining us is Joey Paranormal. And Joey, the first thing I'm going to ask you right out the bat is grapefruit a beer?
No, it's a seltzer, my friend.
Right? And it says Juicy Bruce. That ain't my drink. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm pretty good. I'm alive. Started class last week. Been very, very busy. Good busy, I guess, so I can't really argue. Golf today, had 3 legitimate double bogeys, which is always good, you know. Ooh, yeah. Actually being able to get the ball in the cup without having to take a drop. So,
man, if that was a sport, that'd be impressive. Buddy, why don't you do the introductions?
Okay, like I said, joining us from the Midwestern section of the country, from Minnesota to be specific. She's a paranormal investigator, longtime paranormal investigator. She's a researcher. She's also the owner of and proprietor of the Boyd House, which is a historically haunted home in Boyd, Minnesota, that she opens up and allows people to come and investigate and stuff. Please welcome to the show, Jill, founder of St. Croix Paranormal, Jill Shelley. Welcome, Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Hi, thanks, guys. Hey, thanks for having me.
How did Buddy do on the introduction?
Really good.
I didn't slaughter her name, dude. It was an easy
no. Her name is for you. That's
right.
That's in the weird.
And usually people don't get St. Croix Paranormal right, so you got that correct. So that was good.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Plus one.
Right.
Plus one.
Right.
Jill, have you ever seen the show before?
I have not, but I like that you opened up drinking beers because I myself am actually having one, so that made me feel better.
Yeah, all right. I just because that's what I was kind of alluding to. I didn't want to shock you by it. I'm not gonna be, parachuting with the shotgunning a beer.
Parachuting. How old are you, Mike?
No, it's called shotgunning a beer.
No, but the fact you said parachuting at first, man. Where were you going?
I don't know where I'm going. So Jill, is this the paranormal world, the whole paranormal thing? Did you get involved early with it?
Yeah, I've always kind of been interested in it since I was little. I kind of like watching the scary movies. Just kind of into ghosts and things. Just as young as I can remember. And actually, I kind of looked at when the movie The Blob came out, the very first original. I saw what year it was made in, and I remember my brothers and sisters took me. I looked at it. I'm like, I was 5. So it was like, so I got exposed to that kind of stuff really, really early. So I suppose that kind of set a precedence of kind of, where I was kind of headed with stuff. But
I kind of had that, Jill, but we had the Creature double feature around our area. So the most I would have is my older brother trying to make me watch the Godzillas would rule. I mean, every Godzilla movie that was made was always on. And then I didn't really like the monster movies. He had all the friggin' models that you could make with the paint and glue that took hours.
Yeah.
Forget that. For me, my favorite was Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. That was my favorite as far as horror. So when it comes to people that like horror movies, what do you mean by horror movies? Because what really scares you? What scared you?
I don't know. Back in the day, I want to say when I was a teenager, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, Poltergeist, those just freaked me out. Now as an adult, I mean, there are some that are like, oh, that's pretty cool, but then they kind of end stupid. So there's none recently where I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. So I guess, I kind of go back to the old school. And I think just because we hadn't seen that type of technology before, because now I watch and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cheesy, but back in the day, it was pretty spooky.
And plus, you didn't hear of grisly murders and stuff that made it seem not that scary. Like, it's like, I always ask people, like, because what scares you? And I'm trying to figure out what literally scares people. Like, what scared them? What moment in anything scares somebody? Obviously, when things jump out at me, that scares me. I'm one of those people. Anybody that if you're waiting around the corner and you get them at the right time, there's no better feeling. 2, you're gonna scare them, right? My thing is, so what scares you now, though? So I want to jump way ahead. What scares you now? What actually scares you?
Well, I guess like if you're talking like certain things that happen, I know like when we're investigating, I don't want to be shut in a room. So I don't like to be in closets. I don't like to be in there. If I do, I usually have a foot in the door. Actually, it was kind of funny. We were just actually investigating a schoolhouse, and it had 2 entrances that you could get in or out, out into the hallway from this classroom. And the one door had slammed shut, and then the other people couldn't open the door. They're like, Joe, we can't open the door. And so I wasn't thinking anything paranormal holding it. I was like, oh my God, the door locked, because it's an old building.
Yeah, bad janitor.
So then I start hopping. I like really quickly went to the other exit, and I'm like standing outside the door, and they're like, come here, check this out. I'm like, no, no, I'm in the hall. I'm good. So, so that's kind of like.
All right. So moments in life can scare you. I get that. Moments that don't make sense. But being in the closet, I'm going to truck that to claustrophobia. Let me check with Joey on the scoreboard. Joe?
Yeah.
All right. So, not that Joe knows what he's talking about, but I don't know why I'm even making you keep score. So that's that. But all right. So being scared of something unknown happening, is that the crux of what we're talking about? Like what we're really scared about is when something happens that shouldn't.
Yeah, everybody's always kind of afraid of the unknown. I kind of got into the paranormal because part of me was afraid that death was it. Like I couldn't handle like it's completely black and you're done and it's over and there's nothing. I can't fathom like there's nothing. I just couldn't. I can't handle that. So I think that's kind of what pushed me a little bit too to pursue the paranormal. Just so I could get that validation that there is something that exists on the other side and that death is just not it. So I think that's one thing that kind of pushed me towards investigating as well.
See, now you're touching on something that's really big because that's the one thing that from doing this show and not being from the paranormal world that has drawn me to it is that almost safety of it in a weird sort of way of paranormal as far as just paranormal as far as a way to categorize things. Buddy, let me gather my thoughts and you continue because I know exactly.
All right. I do have a question. As Joe, one paranormal investigator to another. I've been doing this about as long as you have. Out here we have Ocean State Paranormal. So approaching the field, do you find it, we're talking about things that scare you. As a paranormal investigator myself, I'm not so scared of the unknown factors going into a location. The whole, is it demonic? Is it this? Is it that? Am I going to get possessed? Anything? Am I going to get hurt? Am I going to get cursed? I'm more scared of the real factors, like the human, like your clients being out of their mind, or like it not being real, or fraudulent investigations? Do real life things like that scare you as an investigator? Things like that on your mind when you're out there in the field?
Well, we used to do private homes. We kind of quit doing that now. We just had a lot of bad experiences, like you say, doing that. Like you say, people making stuff up. We've shown up where people were really drunk. We've shown people who just kind of thought they could make it a party night.
Yep.
Have a bunch of friends over and watch the investigators do their thing. So they're, just kind of that kind of thing. So we kind of focused more on doing, private investigations where you paid locations, or businesses will do that because you get that, to yourself as well.
And buddy, thank you because you brought me right back to where I wanted to be. First off though, the rise of tailgating something paranormal is bizarre to me. It's almost like country music, like the return of that pop country music. I can't quite get it. Doesn't seem like country music to me. That doesn't count. Back to the whole thing. What I'm trying to say is the company thing is, I think people get into this because of life and death. Like, I really think death is the main issue behind a lot of people when they get into this, because you're not just searching for something to scare you. You're not just searching for something to prove. Your validation is like it would be the ultimate, find. Yep. So in little things that have been done or that I've seen, it's oddly gotten me closer to believing in there's got to be something else. Like it's I don't know if that's what it's done to you for being in paranormal so long. You've been in more than I have, but I feel like now I've gotten more proof, at least more of a vibe, that there is definitely something past what we're living now. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, I feel that too. Like I said, that's kind of why I started, because I wanted to prove to myself that there was other, the dimension or heaven. And there's just been so many, questions. A lot of times when we investigate, after a while, I just wanted to know more about the other side. So I asked a lot of questions regarding, what's on the other side. And I'm sure a lot of investigators have as well. But I feel with some of the answers I have gotten, that I am fairly confident that there definitely is another side, another realm, another dimension. There's different dimensions, things we're not supposed to know about. Just some crazy stuff that we've gotten that just makes me feel better knowing that when I die, that's not it. Now, where is it going to be? A heaven, a hell, a different dimension? Where I go, I don't know, but I know it's not over. And so that makes me feel better about death.
All right. Here's my other question then. So what if it is that? What if that is it? Like, what if it's like you didn't make the cut, like, or there isn't something that's going on, or I don't know, you owed somebody, so you got to do something else. Like, what if it's just done? What if it's just lights out, right?
I don't think it is. I don't.
That is, why is that so terrifying to everyone? And I'm asking that sincerely. The idea of lights out, nothing else ever after that.
I don't, because everybody wants to go. Nobody wants to die. Right. I mean, we're put on the earth. We have the drive and the will to live and to do stuff. And then you always, as you get older, you're like, oh, I wish I could have did more. And so you just don't want it to be over. You just can't let go. And so you want, something else in the afterlife. You want to keep on going. You don't want to end.
Right. But see, all right. Okay. That's again where my slight thing is this. I feel like some people, they don't do things, or they live a certain way and deny themselves to the ability to do things because they want to make sure they get to the next level. Like, in my mind, I always say to everyone is, if I live like I need to live a certain way to be judged to get to a next level, there's going to be no fun at all. So it's like, if I live within the rules of being a good person, I can have some fun, right? And if at the end it's over, the only thing I worry about is missing my kids, my family. That's it. Myself personally, like, if it's lights out, how am I going to know? Like, I go to sleep at night, I don't even know. I don't know when I fall asleep. I don't know what I'm doing while I'm asleep. And then all of a sudden I just wake up. So it's like one night, go to sleep, don't wake up. Buddy, does it bother you?
Mike, honestly, in the experiences that I've had in the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 years, I want to say that I never really had a strong religious faith, but having a faith in something afterwards is just, not that I have irrefutable proof or anything. It's just a lot of like, if anything, it's a lot of coincidence, maybe, but I mean, just a lot of like responses from people that like
Well,
were
here's
here
the
at
issue
one
with
time that are
two.
no longer. So that the fact that they're still talking to me after they've passed gives me a little bit of faith that there's something afterwards. Maybe.
Here might also be the issue. Jill, you're in Minnesota, correct?
Yes.
All right. Second question: why are you in Minnesota?
I'm blaming on my parents.
I'm sorry, I could not resist. I try to keep the jokes to a minimum.
You know what? We who live here ask ourselves that every winter. Like, why do we stay? Why are we here?
So,
because we have 3 great months. That's why it's so worth it for 3 months.
But you guys don't have the jaded view of religion when you were younger, growing up, like the Northeast. I think the Northeast, we kind of like, don't we like run on like just rotten things happening in the church? In other words, like there's a whole 3 or 4 generations that just came through where they got soured on the idea of church, which I think was a bad idea in the sense that they get soured on the idea of getting together and you're coming together. That part of it, the whole community part of it, just between that and social media, done. But like, I mean, a church literally looks like a roller skating rink on a Wednesday. There is nobody in the building. It's awful. So I think that's what. Joe, what are your thoughts? Because I haven't talked to you, huh?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of a bad person to kind of throw it to when it comes to religion. I'm not really never been.
You're not religious. How do you feel about the afterlife?
Oh, the afterlife. We're going that way. So I actually agree with Jill very much about. It's very hard to fathom, and I think as humans we can't fathom. It just the end, like our candle blowing out and it just being dark and nothing. And I think. For me personally, that's not 100% why I got into the paranormal, but it is a good driving force as to like trying to validate that there is the chance that some of these theories from religions around the world could be true, whether it be reincarnation, heaven and hell, maybe even a purgatory, or if you just get to choose whether you want to remain as energy.
All right, we got the analogy on the second one, Joe. Jill, I'm sorry, I was with the Joe. But so. The idea of being scared to die and have nothing there. You get what I'm saying, though, when I say that when people put all their eggs in the basket of I'm going to heaven, I'm living to go to heaven, they end up just like not living in the actual time that they have right now. Like this is everything's complaints. This is bothering me. This is bad. This is going on. No one focuses on anything like of the positive part of it, and they just keep waiting for something better. Like not everybody, but some people are just literally waiting for someplace better, which makes me feel like they're not really doing.
Like the old ladies who go every single day to church and pray just to pray because they want to like save their souls and go to the afterlife, even though they've been great people their whole lives and they still do it like that. That in New England we have that Catholic guilt that holds on and makes us be good boys or makes us be bad. But if we're bad, we're going to go burn in hell. And that's that thought that sits in the back of this generation's head, you know?
In other words, Jill, do you think we're going to be judged?
You know, it just really depends on what your belief system is. You know, nobody says there's a strict one God, one judge, one this. I think it's whoever you believe in. You know, and nobody ever really knows the true answer. If there is,
all right, but what if I believed in stabbing, shooting, and like just chewing off people's like limbs? That's what I believe in. I don't believe that I don't believe that person is gonna be moving anywhere into the afterlife. Or maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe there is no split. Maybe there is no decision on who lived it right, who lived it wrong. Like maybe everybody moves on. But I mean, is that what you think?
Well, of course, everybody does move on. It's just depending where you end up in the, we have, so many hauntings, with supposed serial killers in that home or a murderer in that home, and why are they still there? So, you can have it both ways. And again, I think nobody's gonna know.
That's the one, as George Carlin would put it. That's that one piece that, like, in any argument, you just can't get past. It's that you don't know. We don't know. We don't know about this whole thing moving on. Okay, so I wanted to get that out in my first 20 minutes. Now, as far as what you do, Jill, for the organization you put together, tell me about it. Tell me about how you put it together, why you put it together.
Well, I was just kind of looking for somebody to do, because I didn't know anything about having actually going out and do paranormal investigating till like the advent of the TV shows. And then we were like, oh my God, you can really do this. So I did find a great group of different people, throughout, networking, friends of friends, that kind of stuff. And we put together probably about 4 now solid people that we've always been together since 2010. And we just started traveling. We, first started investigating, private homes, local businesses that were haunted. And then we started traveling to well-known haunted locations just to see what kind of other activity we could get and collect evidence and just kind of further our education. And, we kind of started with just a little bit of equipment. Now we own so much stuff. It gets kind of addicting on buying things. And so then, that's kind of what we did for the last 10 years. And then by doing that is how I decided that I wanted to get my own haunted location. And then I decided to go ahead and purchase the Boyd House when I came across that.
That's great. As an investigator, you have all this equipment you talk about. If you could pick anything across the board that you've ever used, that you use now, that you don't use anymore, that you want to use in the future, what's your favorite piece of equipment and why?
Well, I know a lot of people have controversy with it, but I've had so much really good results in it. I hands down love the spirit box or any of the different variations of the spirit box, just because of the scientific, behind it, not being able to talk. You can't talk 1/100th of a second, and that's how quickly that goes through that channel. And I have gotten actual swear words. And I run mine also only on AM. Radio station, so for sure you're not going to get that. With like one of my favorite ones is we were doing a private home in Stillwater, and it used to be owned by Captain Jenks, who was a riverboat captain back in the day. So this guy lived in a historic house. His whole family had experiences but him, and he was a very intelligent man. He had I swear 50 different letters after his name, PhD, MD, all this stuff after his name, because he gave me his business card. And he was a professor. So he was did not believe, but he understood the science behind the spirit box. And I ran it in the house and I just said, hey, whose house is this? And plain as day, it said Captain Jenks. And then I made him a believer that day. So that was pretty cool.
That's good.
So, it's I've gotten so much stuff off of it. It's one of my favorite things.
I was very skeptical of the spirit box. I started using about, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago. Actually, I used an earlier one when we first started. It was just like a white noise. But as skeptical as I've been, when you're running we run the AM dial, we run it backwards. You get voices that come through direct, like you say, direct responses, swears. Over 12, 13 different radio stations are being scanned while this one word is coming through on all of them simultaneously, just timed just perfectly. So it's just way too much coincidence for me to excuse something like that. So we've started using the spirit box a little bit more during investigations.
And one question I kind of brought to myself is that I because the voices always seem to be different. So it's I always kind of wonder, is this for sure the voice of that person who passed away? And I actually had somebody, we had done an old building that used to be an old hardware store back in the day in downtown historic. And we got answers to the question. I said, what store is this on the spirit box? It said the hardware store. And I answered a few other questions. And this lady contacted me to tell me, she goes, that was my grandfather's voice. So she wanted to know if we had found anything else, but she's like, that was his store and that was his voice. So that was pretty cool to actually have somebody validate the voice as well as, the information, which we already knew was being validated by the answers.
Yeah, Buddy got us with that. Him and Kevin Hart, and very early on in our shows, it was basically, to me, it was just a guitar amp that kept skipping dials. And we talked to it for like 50 minutes. Well, I didn't talk to it. Buddy talked to him for like 50 minutes. Nothing. And like I tell everybody, Jill, I was so excited that it was going to end without it saying anything, just because I wanted to rib Buddy afterwards. And then he asked that one last question, like, "What do you think? How do you think?" I forget what it was.
I asked what the former curator who died and was there for 35 years thought what the current curators had done to the museum and the building that, and we got a very direct answer.
He said, "Do you like what he's? Do you like what that he's done with the place?" And there was like maybe like I say on the third beat, absolutely. And I was like, oh, like from the 50s, like I couldn't explain the corny absolutely. Sound like it was like an old radio show. And I was like, I thought it was the fix was in. Like I thought they played that sample. And then they stopped laughing because they were at the armory, and the sound came through. So that blew my mind. And we still have it on our YouTube thing. And it's weird because it's like I don't go out of my way to show it to people that don't want to hear something like that or to believe something, because we're now at a point where people either want to believe it or have shut themselves down completely. And you can make them listen to it. They don't care. I'm being honest. Like when I keep saying that people are jaded, I keep going back to the UFOs. They're telling us there's UFOs everywhere and nobody cares. Blowing my mind. Jill, when you bought this house, first of all, as a homeowner, was there a lot of problems with the house itself?
Well, Frank, I don't live there, so that's good. So I can let some stuff go. But yeah, I did have to do a lot of restoring of it because it needed a new roof. You know, it was built in 1901. And so it just needed just a lot of work. You know, we had to replace the roof, the gutters. We had some things break down as we were working. And then I wanted to bring it back to the 1900s. So we put up a lot of the old Victorian wallpaper, you know, just putting it in the furniture and just kind of doing just a ton of stuff while we were there. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, and it still continues to be a lot of work because I didn't realize I have the one to maintain it, you know, in between people. So I don't even come in.
Yeah, I would think you have to fix it up, but keep it looking like it did. Like you can't change it too much, but you got to fix the main stuff, probably the pipes, the electrical must be a mess. I could just think about the only issues with a house like that. But congratulations on the purchase of the house. How has been like having people there been going? Like
really good. You know, it takes a little while to build things up. We started in like 2019, I believe it was. So the last 2 years have been really, really busy. We've had probably, I would say, at least 200, 300 teams in since we've opened, you know, and most of them get results. So just a lot of different activities, you know, look at shadow figures, voices, you know, spirit box responses, equipment, interaction. Sometimes they'll just, you know, hear voices, footsteps, being touched, just kind of a whole gamut of things.
Wow. Imagine 200 or 300 groups.
Yes.
A lot of people. It's a lot of people. A lot of paranormal investigators.
People. That's good.
Joe, you with somebody you want to? Oh, you go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a quick question, Joe. So again, being a paranormal investigator, I'm also a history dork. So the history, I do all the research. The history always gets me. A lot of what I find it a lot around the paranormal, not so much in the paranormal, but like around outside the paranormal, people who are interested will often say, hey, was there like a murder there? Somebody killed themselves, something violent. Say, no, it's not always the case where somebody dies or something violent happens. Sometimes it's just people living there. Do you know the history of the house? Any awful things happen, any tragedies, or is it just like people living in a house that are still maybe hanging on?
Well, you know, our deed goes back to 1889, so who knows what happened back in the day. It was an old Wild West town, and the railroad ran right outside behind, so we get a lot of energy, I think, from the railroad. Nice. So you can still see the train run and feel it by, you know, as it goes by. It's that close. You can, it's pretty much in your backyard. But that was kind of what got the town driven up. So back in the day, they had like 500 people in town, and I have pictures where you can see it's like they got the cowboys, they got the horses, the wagons, everything. So, and it was a booming town. They had hotels and restaurants and all kinds of things. And now it's a dead, dying town.
Was it a gold rush or a silver rush, or was it just on the railroad?
I think it was just on the railroad. It was also located, the edge of town was located on the Sioux Dakota reservation line. So I'm sure there was a lot of history going back and forth with that.
Native Americans, of course. That's like Black Hills country, right? That's about, or
yeah,
that's Dakotas, but
yeah, we're real close to South Dakota. And so, so then the earliest findings I can have of a family is Fred and Minnie Eckert, who moved in there in 1912. And both Minnie and Fred died in the home. Minnie had a stroke, and I'm not sure. Fred just died of old age, but I'm guessing a heart attack or stroke or something.
Fred died of Minnie.
Fred died, or Minnie died first, and then Fred died 2 years after.
That's what happened.
She did it. Yep, and they both died, and then their funerals were Minnie's funeral was held in the home for 3 days. Yep. Which was customary in the back in the day. And her child, when he was, I believe, 3, he choked to death in the house as well. So, and then she also had another stillborn in the house. And then we had another lady die in the 70s, elderly 70s. So I'm assuming stroke, heart attack, something. I never really found any information other than I know she died in the house. But as far as like any other things that I can tie for deaths or anything, I couldn't tell you. So just those normal deaths, other than the child.
Like not just the boy house, like any location that you've investigated, any of the research that you've done, on the percentage of the places that you've investigated that are haunted, how many of those have like violent incidents or violent crazy deaths or like suicides or just awful tragedies? Would you say?
Getting grim, huh, bud?
Yeah, I would say I would say maybe like a handful. When you go to the asylums, those have a little bit more history of people getting murdered and deaths, the suicides, just regular death. And then we've been to Villisca X Murder House, which has had a lot, the 7 deaths, with the children and stuff. So yeah, I would just say a handful with the actual negative murder type suicide. Otherwise,
usually just people that live in a house for so many years and their energy just collects there and stays there, right? It's not nothing scary, nothing traumatic, nothing crazy. Just usually it's just people, right?
Right. Most of the time. But that that goes back to a lot of people think all the ghosts are evil and demons and demonic, and that's such a handful of time. And even some of like your little smaller scratches or tugs or pushes or things are more of to me just for them to just be like, hey, yo, I'm over here. So I don't think as far as demonic goes, that's pretty rare. Does happen, but rare.
So then Jill, let's talk about the little kid voices. Are they little kids? Are they actually little kids?
Well, it depends on the location, and you got to kind of figure it out yourself. Of course you're going to have a demon that's going to probably entice you as being a child, because otherwise who's going to want to talk to the demon? Nobody. But that's going to be up to you, and use your gut and your instinct to figure that out.
No, but what I'm asking, I guess, is but you think that children, spirits of children can get stuck?
Oh, definitely. Any spirit can get stuck, but I think a lot of times with the children, especially when it's traumatic, they don't understand what has happened and they're frightened, and then they don't really know what to do. So then they are kind of stuck, and then they just become happy and played where, if that's where they played and that's what the place that made them happy, wherever they are, then that's where they're going to go.
Does that
makes them safe?
But see, I guess my issue is that meaning that they did not cross over? Like, is that saying that a child had something traumatic, so it's stuck here?
I wouldn't say every child gets stuck here. It just depends on that particular child, on how they went out in the world and how their energy and how they just, manifested in the world. So it just depends. Like nobody really knows. Again, like when you die, they all say, oh, you go to this tunnel of light, and, nobody really knows. And, maybe that child's afraid to go to the light, and so they stay behind. We don't really know. This is all a theory. But that's just kind of where we kind of feel, I think, because no matter what, I think humans have to have an answer for everything.
I also have wacky opinions. I think I've officially decided. What's today's date? Joey, write this down. 7/10/2022. My thing is,
actually, I'm left-handed.
I do not believe that any of the voices that you hear that are children are children. I firmly believe that all dogs and children should go directly to go. That's it. They should just pass on. And I don't see how a child who has something traumatic happen to them would be stuck in that traumatic moment. One, I don't see how the universe can balance that. Two, I don't see how anybody who claims they can help people pass on wouldn't go and help that child pass on. I think when it comes to the child side of it, it gets weird for me because some places they got a lot of children, they talk about how they have a lot of children voices. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Then that's just a personal belief. Joe, do you understand what I'm saying with that?
Yeah, I think it's almost like because children and animals, we'll say dogs in this instance because dogs are amazing. Their souls, their spirits are so pure that it almost feels criminal that if something traumatic or just an early death or just a death in general were to happen to a child, a dog, another animal, that they wouldn't just get a free pass and they wouldn't just pass on instantly because of how pure their souls are. I feel that way too, but I think in reality, that's just not what happens. Sometimes souls, for whatever reason, just get stuck here on this side for some reason, and that's what you do see. I mean, there are plenty of instances of animals as spirits. Ghost dogs, ghost cats. Probably my favorites, the Hellfire Club, the black cat that's always seen around the Hellfire Caves. Yeah, it sucks, but I think that they do get stuck here. No matter how pure a soul can be, you can still get trapped.
Buddy?
Absolutely, Mike. Like any other spirit, the soul of a child could absolutely get stuck. People want to say well, you say all ghosts and all children and dogs should go to heaven. They should, but it's probably not the case every single time. You got to figure that they're looking for their parents. Maybe they're scared. That's my best guess.
So I don't
think
believe
every child ghost is a demon.
Sorry. So I don't believe in that. However, Jill, do you believe in the idea that maybe it's just sometimes the different levels we connect, we bounce, we touch? Is that, you know what I'm trying to say? Like every now and then we just bleed into what's going on in maybe another realm. They're not here, that we're just seeing them here. Does that make any sense?
Well, I think there are different realms and different dimensions. We're in our own plane, our own veil, our own area. And then there's, other ones beyond that. How many? We don't know, but there's something there. And again, all in research, everything's in theory, but there definitely is something out there. How they cross over, how they can communicate with us is really, kind of a mystery, but I think it's also a really awesome thing that they can, and we're still continuing, through research, learning more how to communicate and reach out. Maybe someday we can get this mystery figured out.
Right. There's also that theory that a ghost will show themselves how they want to be seen. Like women have died. Like there's been stories of women dying older later in life, and their happiest time in life was when they were in their 20s or when they were in their teens and they were carefree. And they'll
Shocker
like that,
Yeah, no kidding. Somebody that wants to be in their 20s.
Right.
Yeah. Now I want to die with a white beard, please. That doesn't make sense. See, all right. There's different levels in this paranormal world. So there's people that believe in cryptids, and to me, the only way to prove that is to find one, actually get some legitimate proof on one. There's UFOs, and to me, the only way to prove that is you're never going to prove that unless the government decides they want you to believe it. And then there's ghosts, which that to me is by far the toughest to prove ever. Between yes, listen to me. Listen.
You're wrong, Mike.
I'm not. A slamming door nowadays, but what they can do with stuff does not hold up to as scary. Like, I'm just being honest with you. I'm trying to tell you the things moving a chair across the floor to the people, the generation below us. It's like, all right, next TikTok. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Mm-hmm. So it's like, what would have to happen in the paranormal ghost world to be like the next big event that made people pay attention, Jill?
Well, first of all, you're just looking at how Hollywood would make ghosts. Right. So if you were a real experienced investigator, we know when we go into a place, it's not going to be hopping and things aren't going to be thrown around and you're not going to be here screaming and slamming. It's hours of walking around hoping for them to communicate with you.
Oh, no, I get all that part. I actually wanted to do a TV show where they never find a ghost ever. Ever. I've said this before, the whole 8 episodes. And then we have a big finale. We hype it all up and they find nothing again. So I get the boring part of it. I'm just trying to condense it. And I don't speak for Hollywood. I speak for the dumb. We're trying to get a handle on the paranormal. So what would it take for us to go, oh my God, did you see that thing that happened with the ghost thing? And people go, oh my God, yeah. Jill?
Well, if you understood all the equipment, so if you're presenting certain stuff to people who don't really know about the paranormal, you're not going to understand the equipment. So you're not going to understand the relevance. Like, oh my God, the REM pod and that just went off at the same time. So I think for people, you'd almost have to basically catch some sort of apparition on film, and it had to be like 100%. But I suppose, as everybody else, they all say that you photoshopped it, you cropped it, you did something. Right. So, nowadays it's going to be a lot harder to prove those kind of things. So I guess it's just almost would have to be a personal experience, that if you were in a building and then you could feel the temperature change, maybe you could feel somebody brush your hair. Maybe you would hear somebody whisper something all at the same time while they're touching you and that. So I guess it's going to have to be some amazing personal experience that somebody experiences in order for them to believe.
Personal experience. So it would have to be a personal experience. Like that's what I'm saying. So there's nothing that could really happen that would make the public all, for some reason, immediately go, now I believe. Because it's one of those topics that seems to be per person.
Well, right? the only reason I say it has to be personal is because nowadays, with the advent of all the technology, people figure, even if it is paranormal, that you faked it somehow. So, I mean, I see so many, I swear anything anybody posts anywhere on any like Facebook groups, it doesn't matter what it is. There's always somebody, did you do this? Did you do that? It was probably this. So even if it was legitimate, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't believe. So that's when it's going to have to come down to that person being like, I was in this building one time and I saw a guy and he touched me. And then I think that's going to make somebody believe. But I think that's just too easy nowadays for people to fake things or disbelieve anything with video. You're just going to have to experience it.
Buddy. Other than the president being knocked down by like a ghost and his license coming out and being held to the camera and then flipped and then couple things.
It still wouldn't matter. Like people would find something that like, it's the way you're looking at it. Your eyes are matrixing that. You want to see something, so your brain's, there would always be somebody, I feel, with some kind of, like she says, like some kind of skepticism. Like what was the air pressure? What was the temperature?
All right, but that's enough.
They look at everything. Like
Joe, see what he just did? That's what you do. I got it on the third time, the third analogy. Like it's like this should be 3 and out. So Jill, the house. As far as bookings, when someone wants to book an investigation there, where do they usually go? What's like?
Just a couple ways. You just hit us up on Facebook. Otherwise, we have a website, boydhouse217.com. And that will give you information on the house, how to book it, the contact and stuff. So we charge $200 a night for people to come in, but we try to make it ample time so you can get it from 3 p.m. till noon the next day. We have snacks and coffee, so people seem to really like that. Wow. So yeah, we try to just make it pretty hospitable for everyone. It's a functional house. We have toilets and air conditioning, heat. So we're open 365 days a year. You may have to shovel your way to the sidewalk, but other than that, you know, so yeah.
Based off that description, you have every haunted location that you could visit in Rhode Island or the Northeast completely beat. The hospitality that you show is something that I think a lot of places up here could emulate.
Yeah, we try to with all of us traveling, we kind of would come up with things of like, well, what would I like here? You know, what kind of things, you know, and if it's something that's feasible that we can do, that we thought people would enjoy, we certainly went ahead and applied it to our property.
Jill, how many people are part of your investigating group?
Just 4. We just have 4 people. That's
what role are you?
I'm the well, I started out with one of our other people, so I was co-founder, but now we're pretty much considered founder. And so it would be like the lead technician. Right. I guess we don't really put somebody like you're higher than this person, you're higher than that person.
No. I guess what I mean is in any group, if you ever watch like the A-Team, stuff like that, there's the leader, there's the heavy, that's the guy with the muscle. Then there's like the guy that's like he's either really quiet and great at what he does, or he's really brash and he's great at what he does. And then there's the wild card. So you would be the leader?
Yeah, because I usually I'm the one who kind of determines where we're going to put stuff, you know, how like where we're going to go, that kind of stuff. Depending on the location, if it's real big, we'll just break up into teams, and then you know, so I don't know. I guess they just kind of look to me to kind of get things rolling, and you know, I kind of fell in doing a little bit of video production, just, you know, not to, you know, become famous or anything. It was just kind of fun to make like little memories of each place we did it. So kind of put forth our own little TV show. So we do that on YouTube. So I think that's kind of why I kind of get this envision of how I want things to go. You know, I don't like control how anybody investigates. It's just kind of like, oh, you go here, I'll go here. Let's try this. Let's try that. Then we usually like meet up halfway and we're like, yeah, so what should we do now? You know, and they, you know, usually I've always done what do you guys want to do? And nobody can come up with anything. So then I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to do this.
Jill, there's one thing I've learned about leading this podcast and this whole podcast channel is that if you don't tell these guys what to do, they just don't do it. And the HR issues we have because they just refuse to listen to simple policies and rules. So I can only imagine how hard it is, you know, for you on your end. But who is the wild card out of your group?
Oh, I don't know. I guess she always gets the brunt of everything. So
Teresa, if you are listening, you are the wild card.
Yeah, she's the one who always gets hurt.
Really?
Not even paranormally. Sometimes it's just she's clumsy. So
does she fall really bad?
Oh yeah, she actually broke her tailbone falling down the stairs at an opera house. Yeah, she does. She has a lot of problems. Even not investigating, she's like, yeah, I sliced my finger almost all the way off today.
You know, though, if you're gonna break your ass, break it at the opera, right? I mean, that's a story for at least 5 to 10 years, no? Right? What happened?
Gosh, yeah. She had to ride home. I think it was about an 8 some plus hour drive. And then later we read you're not supposed to be sitting on it. So she drove part of the way and she couldn't handle. And then it was like, I think the straw of the whole story is like we were at a gas station. You know, she was just having a horrible time. She dropped her glasses on the floor. They broke and she just stood there because she just started crying. We laugh about it now. But, you know, because she was like, this is it. I can't handle this anymore. So,
you know, I've had a buddy like that once, bust his shoulder. He flipped a car that we were in. And we were so mad at him. We're at a McDonald's eating, and he was in so much pain, and we just wouldn't pay attention to him because we were so mad at him. He ended up sliding down his seat as if his bones became jello and laying on the ground of a McDonald's in Canada. Now, to talk about what's on the ground in a McDonald's floor in Canada, geez, it's like got to be about 2 inches of brown slush. And there's no such thing as brown slush. So that's just mud and dirt and filth. And he just laid there. And it was just one of those moments like, dude, please just get up. And dum-dum, that was you. Buddy, questions as far as paranormal investigating. Now, Wait, did you unplug your mic again?
Yeah,
right.
buddy, you're muted.
Joe. Go ahead with a question.
So outside of the house that you guys sponsor events, is there any other location kind of close by you or somewhere around that you've investigated that was that really stands out to you or has really great history or just a really good haunt that you've enjoyed?
Not too much. We don't really have too many well-known haunted locations in Minnesota. Most of what we've done is really like Iowa, places in Indiana a lot have been some of my favorite places to go. One of my favorites was Reverend Acres, and that was in Indiana. It's no longer there anymore. They tore it down. But I just remember when we pulled up, Teresa's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna spend the night here," because it was like this old, rickety looking, broken down house in the middle of a cornfield. I was even kind of like, "Yeah, we are." So. But we had so much activity that night. It was so much fun.
What did you give it on Yelp?
I don't think there was a Yelp for that. But yeah, it was just a great place to go, and it's just sad to see that was torn down. But yeah, it was a great night.
Mike, I'll tell you what, that's another idea that we need to trademark that we've come up with on the show. We need to create the paranormal version of Yelp where you can rate locations for publicly for the community to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good. I mean, you get that on Facebook because I see that on some of them.
Yeah, we got to centralize it.
Yeah, but you got to make it. So more people
find it.
Problem with Facebook that I have is I have to read stuff. Yeah. And it's not that I don't have to. I know it's not like someone's got a gun in my head, but I end up reading stuff, and some people just depress me. They depress me. Here's my big complaint, and I know this is an ass-ache turn. But if my day is miserable, I don't want to read about how your day is miserable. I don't think that's fair. I think you should have to write about how good your day was or pretend or just shut up. I don't want to hear about miserable days. I feel like I've had enough. I read one today and I was like in a good mood. I read about this guy's day and I'm like, I don't feel so good now. It's like because of your bad mood. I digress. Jill, so when you do your show on YouTube, is it weekly? Is it the same time?
No, it's just kind of whenever I get stuff put together. So we don't have like an actual time. We did originally start off with doing the local cable channel here in Stillwater. And then I had to have a something for them once a week. But then it kind of got to be, obviously, we can't go somebody every week. So I wasn't able to keep up. So that eventually we weren't on that. But I just did still on the YouTube. But again, it's just kind of more for my fun and enjoyment and stuff. So, but I think a lot of people seem to like what I do put out there anyway.
No, I say that only because it seems like we all as a community need to get on a schedule where we can cross promote shows that are weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Certain shows that are always going to be on every single week. That's something we can cross promote on our Legit Podcast site. Put a link for you because weekly shows are easier for us to keep up with and track and for us to use our website for because all our shows are weekly and live. So when other people have weekly shows, even if you're going to edit it and say it's going to come out every Tuesday or every Wednesday at say what time, to me, that's what I see the better. Like Ken DeCosta is doing a really good job of that, putting a show out at a certain time. I think he comes on now in like 3 minutes. But if you ever get to do that, and you ever put on a solid rotation, we would love to even now put a link for your YouTube channel for you. Send that over to Buddy. We'll put that up on the podcast site. The paranormal world's been crazy. It's I'm glad I wasn't into it during the whole Ghostbusters.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ghost Hunters time. Like I came in after that. I was Ghostbusters, no Ghost Hunters, and then here I am now. When I hear 200 to 300 groups visiting a haunted location in Minnesota, the first thing I think is that's a lot of haunted groups. Not saying that I think 800 groups should go to your site. I'm just saying when I hear those numbers, that's a lot of group of people that are all hunting or into hunting the paranormal. That's That's a lot. That's a large underbelly. Would you not agree, Jill? 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 Did you hear me?
Oh yeah, and I'm really happy with what we've had. We've had most of the people come from Iowa because we are more of that southern border. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you.
I think you're just a little. I think the internet connection, something happened. You were a little delayed.
Like Max
okay.
Headroom?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. So yeah, I just think it's just really great that we've had people all the way from like Iowa, Wisconsin. Somebody actually came far from Colorado one time. So people are starting to travel a little bit more. So I'm just happy that we have that many people coming out and getting experiences.
It's amazing. I just think that it's mind blowing how many that are really out there. And I think once the place gets out and like once it's mentioned in one state, it gets around that group of paranormal people, and then it'll go to another. I know because like Rhode Island, once somebody learns about something in Rhode Island, it ends up being learned about in Massachusetts in about like week tops.
Mike, we did a historic place in East Greenwich, and we had people coming as far out as New Jersey and Pennsylvania, which I mean it's a 6-hour drive. But
did you throw the microphone down the hall? The microphone. Did you just throw it away?
No,
you dropped it.
Here.
Put it in your mouth.
Does it not work?
You might need to turn up the volume on the. I don't know if there's a knob
Never
on
mind. Just let him keep it near his mouth.
Oh, here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Whoa. All right. So it's okay now?
I told you, Joe. That's fine, buddy. You're good.
All right.
Joe, any last questions?
I think we should quit while we're ahead.
Not nobody to touch stuff while I'm talking.
But Jill, it was I appreciate you coming on. It's always great to talk to other like-minded individuals in the paranormal field, and it's even better to talk to someone who's not just located in New England. One of the best things about this show is that we get to talk to people from all over the country, and I never really got a chance to talk to someone who's actually from Minnesota, so it's great to have the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was super fun.
Buddy, actually, wait a minute. Before you do, buddy, Jill, what's the website one last time?
It's boydhouse217.com.
All right, go ahead, buddy.
As one last question as an investigator, Jill. We've seen it for years on the paranormal shows, so that's what we tend to do. But any credence to like whether investigating at night or during the daytime? I know as an investigator myself, when not even investigating, I've had stuff happen to me in the daytime. Is there any reason why we only investigate at night?
I think most of why we investigate at night is just most of our equipment is night vision, and also for the heightens of your senses, with everything being dark and things, you're shutting everything out, so you're more open. But I have done more day investigating, mostly at the Boyd House, or I also find if we get into a place that allows you in at an earlier time, before evening, I feel like we get a lot of stuff during the daytime too. So I don't think it's limited to night. I think that's just kind of it's
just it's just the idea in the paranormal. I don't think so. It's just a lot of people say, "Oh, why you investigate at night?" Blah blah blah. But yeah, it's just what people watch TV shows and then they make their own assumptions.
It's quieter.
Yeah, it is. You can control the environment a little bit better too. That's why we do it for the most part. But if you're watching and you've enjoyed our time with Jill Shelley, tune in next Sunday live at 7:05 as we hold. Our guest is local demonologist and newly reunited with the Dominion Ministry, James Anito, will join us here on the show live at 7:05 next week. Tune in for James.
We also have a show on Tuesday night, Legit Paranormal Vacation Planners. Do you know where we're visiting, buddy?
We're coming back to the States, Mike. We're going to be in the lovely Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're going to be visiting two lovely hotel and a bed and breakfast in scenic Fall River and even more scenic Salem, Massachusetts.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I bet I could guess what both of those places are.
I bet you could, Joe. I bet you could.
Jill, do you have anything else you want to wrap up? We can touch on.
No, just if anybody wants to come check us out or contact us, just hit me up and I'll be happy to answer any questions that we didn't cover here on today's show.
That's awesome. All right. I have nothing else to say. It's Sunday night on July 10th, 2022. Tomorrow is Monday. The only thing I'll end with is, buddy,
no.
I got my second electric bill in. It was like $3. So I think it's been $9 and $3. Go solar.
That's what my parents are doing. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, there you go. So for Jill, Shelley, Joey Paranormal, Buddy, Money, there, it's me, Mike Leprechaun King, Mike L. This was Legit Paranormal, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. Thank you for watching. We will see you again with our next show Tuesday night at 8:05. We're out.